We have our main key poses set. So currently our character is just going from one side to the other, back and forth, which is a start. Now we can go straight ahead and add the breakdown poses. We will be adding breakdown poses every 3 frames. So first on frame 4, we'll add the lowest pose. Let's begin. Let's select the foot at the back. Currently, if we scrub the animation, we can see that this foot from frame 1 to 4 has moved forward a little bit, because eventually it will be at the front on frame 13. But on frame 4, we actually need to move it further to the back and not the front, even further than it was on frame 1, because we need to build the energy before this foot lifts off the ground. We want to feel it pushing off. So first we need to go back to frame 1 while our back foot is still selected. Middle mouse click on frame 4 and hit the S to copy the pose. That way we have our foot in the same place as it was on frame 1, and now we can move it even further to the back. Our leg is overstretching, so we need to lift up the heel even more than it was on the first frame. Now our foot is moving to the back and lifting up the heel. Frame 4, where we have our lowest pose of the character, is the last frame, where the back foot is still placed on the ground before it pushes off. For the front foot, since it came down to the ground, we need to zero out the foot roll channel. The front foot needs to be placed flat on the ground so that it slams down. The other thing we need to do is on the lowest pose, our weight, of course, needs to go down. Now we can push the back foot even further. Okay, that's all we need to do in this frame for now. We'll go over the other controls and rotation a bit later. Other poses will give us more information on that. We just needed to set our foot position and the weight in the right spot. Select all the controls and hit the S to save the entire pose on frame 4. Next, 3 frames forward on frame 7, we'll have the passing pose. Our front foot has some foot roll value left, so let's zero that out, because we still need to keep it flat on the ground. The foot at the back is now coming forward, so we need to lift it up a bit. We also need to lift up the heel even further than before, so we can check the previous value and bring it even further. Now let's use the toes control and rotate them down. We don't want our foot to be going through the ground, so I'll lift it up a bit more, but not too much since in the real world we barely lift up our feet when we're walking. The weight should be higher now than in the contact pose. There we had roughly negative 0.2, so here it can be higher than that. Okay? There's another thing we need to do with the weight. Because the foot on the left is holding the entire weight of the body by itself, since the other foot is going up and no longer on the ground, the weight of the body shifts over the supporting foot, so we need to move it to the left. We'll add some rotation to the hips, chest, and head later when we start adding more detail. For now, let's keep our poses simplified and sort out how the legs and body weight should be moving. Since we're done with this pose for now, let's select the entire character and hit the S on frame 7. 3 frames forward on frame 10, we have our highest pose, where we need to bring the weight of the body to its highest. This foot that was the leading one is no longer at the front and has moved further to the back. So here it's overstretching. Therefore, we need to bring the heel up a little bit. Okay. Now this foot is coming forward, and now the leading foot. It also needs to go up, so we need to bring it higher. We can also add a little bit of a heel raise, so it wouldn't be so flat. Our toes are dragging behind since the foot is coming forward. That's why we have them positioned in this shape. Okay, we can select the entire character and hit the S. Now we have our 4 main poses: the contact pose, the lowest one, passing pose, and the highest pose. On frame 13, we should have the contact pose on the other side, but this looks strange. Have we forgotten to key everything before? Yes, you can see that not all the controls have a key on this frame. And for example, the foot has only translation X channel keyed. That's why it's up in the air now, even though it's not supposed to be. So if you also forgot to key all the controls on frame 13, just like I did, you'll have to rebuild this pose again. But that's okay. We'll have more practice, which helps us learn the pose. Since some of the channels still have values left from frame 10, and others have the right values that they should have on the contact pose, it's a sort of a mix now of different poses, and we'd have to go through all the channels and check everything. So the easiest way to fix that would be to go to the other contact pose, select all the controls, and copy that pose to frame 13. Hit the S. Now all the controls have a key, and we just need to flip some of the values like we did before. So just bring the chest to the other side by removing the minus, and the hips by adding the minus. The arm, use the rotation Z channel and bring it to the back. Front one, bring it forward. Now use the rotation Y channel and rotate the arm on the left further in, and the other one the same direction, just out. Okay. Now we need to fix the feet. The front one goes to the back, somewhere here. Let's bring the foot roll to the other side. Now the opposite foot. Let's bring it to the front, use the foot roll, and bring the toes up. And here we have our contact pose on the other side again. Okay, we're done with the first half of the animation. Now we can move forward and repeat the same poses that we had on the first part, just on the opposite side of the body. Again, 3 frames forward on frame 16, select the weight control, and actually let's go to the graph editor. This way it'll be faster. Since currently we're animating the body just going up and down, we can add the keys on the frames where our main poses are going to be placed, and repeat the same curve shape that we have at the beginning of our animation. Since frame 16 is our lowest pose, and we had the other lowest pose on frame 4, just select this key and bring it down to approximately where it was on the other side. This key is the passing pose, so it needs to be higher. And then we have our highest pose, so bring the key up. Also, if we want to have the exact same heights, we can copy the values from the previous poses. Just select the key, go to this channel box at the top of the graph editor, copy the value, then select the key which you want to edit, paste the value, and hit Enter. Now we have identical values on both frames. Let's move on to the translation Z. On the passing pose on frame 19, we know that the weight will be going to the opposite side that it was before, because it'll be held by the opposite foot. So we can copy the value from the first passing pose, paste it on this frame, and type in a minus to bring it to the same spot, just on the opposite side. Let's repeat the same with the next key as well. Now we have the same motion on both sides. We positioned the weight, now we just need to pose the feet. This foot is at the back, and on the lowest pose it needs to go further to the back. So just like we did before, let's go to the contact pose and copy it for this foot to frame 16. So we know from where to start, and then push it further to the back and lift the heel up. Okay, now the front foot. Just zero out the foot roll channel and we're good. So finally, select the entire character and hit S. Next, on frame 19, we have our passing pose, where our back foot is now lifting off the ground. So we need to bring it up and bring the heel even higher so that we can feel the foot pushing off. All right, and we need to rotate the toes down. Now select the entire character and hit S. On frame 22, we have our highest pose. This foot is now at the front, and we need to lift it even higher. Let's bring the heel up a little bit as well, and bend the toes so that we would feel them dragging. Okay, we can compare this pose with the other highest pose on the opposite side. It's quite similar. This foot is overstretching, so we need to lift the heel up higher. Now select all the controls and hit the S one final time. Here we have the basic motion of our walk cycle set. In the next lesson, we'll dive deeper and touch the rotations on the other axes, we'll add overlap, and we'll make this walk cycle feel more natural.